I started at 16 in a town in the suburbs of a big city. At first, they put me to help the chef in the kitchen and clean the place and stuff. 2 months later, my boss told me that on the days off of the main delivery boy, I would deliver, and I said yes, of course. Then all of a sudden, the delivery boy quit when he came from delivering a pizza at this one house. He looked traumatized and shaken, like something with his face and his eyes. He went into my boss's office and they argued for about 15 minutes. Then he came out and said, "Good luck, kid," then told me he had quit. I asked why and he said, "Just a shitty job, that's all." He then patted me on the back and left. I knew it was something else than just a shitty job, but I didn't think much of it. That was the last time I saw him. So for the next couple of weeks, I was the delivery boy till they could find someone that can deliver pizzas. About 2 weeks into me delivering pizzas, my boss gave me the address to a house, and as usual I put in the GPS and went over. Watching the sunset while driving over there, I was hoping it'd take 2 minutes tops so I could get home. Unfortunately, it was in the rural side of town, where the houses are like a quarter mile from each other. I stopped in front of the 2-floor house and looked at it. I got the creepiest feels when I stared at it. Lawn not cut, with weeds, dead trees, and the old porch with no chairs or flower pots or tables, just plain. It seemed abandoned, but I got out anyways and knocked on the door. I was hoping my boss gave me the wrong address or something so I could get the hell out of there. Then the door lock started to shake and the door opened. It was an old lady, at least 70 years old or something around there, with white hair, teeth missing, and skinny, very short too, but her eyes just glaring at me. It really freaked me out. I figured if I was nice, things would turn out okay after all. "Pepperoni pizza, ma'am?" I said as friendly as I could. "Yes," she said with a hoarse voice as if she had a sore throat. "Alrighty, here you go." I handed the pizza over, but she just looked at it with no emotion and didn't take it, getting her purse. "Did you come with someone else?" I froze, then quickly looked up at her, still glaring at me. That question really frightened me. No," I said. "Where's the other one? He ran off on me last time he came." Ran off, I thought. It didn't make sense. "He quit some weeks ago," I said. Then she got her purse and started searching for money, or so I thought. She did for about a minute, the longest minute ever, and with the hands in her purse, she stopped and looked at me, not in a look of surprise or in confusion, but just like as if she was thinking really hard on something. I could tell she was holding something in her right hand inside the purse, but I couldn't see what. I really started to freak out at this point. What if it was pepper spray, or a knife, or even a gun? I mean, what could take her so long to get $10 out of her purse? Then, behind her, I saw a shadow. A silhouette of a man coming to the door, and all of a sudden, I heard footsteps crushing the leaves on my left side next to the porch, and a man's deep voice saying, "Hey." I looked over and saw a head of a middle-aged man with a look of anger peeking over the porch. This guy then started to climb the porch, and that was when I realized I had enough. I darted to my car, threw the pizza inside, turned it on, and drove off. I didn't look back as I drove off in the dark. I had to lie and pay for the pizza out of my own pocket, but it was worth it. On the day I quit, I decided to tell my boss what happened that evening, to which he freaked out as well and asked me why I hadn't told him. He said James told him something like he just walked out of there and didn't pay attention to her. My boss then called the cops to look into the sketchy situation, and he told me I could leave. About 2 days later, he called back, saying the cops had the house registered as foreclosed for over a year, and they found 3 people living in there when they broke in, which were 2 men and the old lady I encountered. They were arrested, and he didn't tell me anything else. I'm still traumatized, and I don't know what would have happened if I would have waited. They could have easily jumped me, but thank God I quit afterwards, and I'm still alive. I'll never forget the time I was covering my friend's shift at a pizzeria we worked at. He was the delivery boy, while I was usually the one manning the register. On that night, I made 2 real deliveries to normal people. Then, my manager gave me one final delivery for the night. It was 5 miles away, which was a long drive for what I was used to. The GPS told me to turn off the highway into some very quiet town. Somehow, I'd never even heard of this town. The GPS took me down some side roads that were even more dead than the main streets in this town. Half of the street lights weren't even on. I didn't like the looks of this place. I just wanted to deliver the pizza and be gone. So I arrived to the house. It was a single-floor little thing. I rang the bell, and almost immediately the door swung open. There was an older man, maybe in his upper 50s, that opened the door. His few hairs left on his head were gray, and he had a very pale face with a gray mustache. He gave me a smile and told me he'd be right back. He walked away into his house out of view, and I just stood there in the cold, waiting for him. I was a little uncomfortable with the area, and the looks of the guy answering didn't help. The sound of stomping on the creaky floors inside the house came to the door, as the man appeared back in the doorway with a smile. He said I should come inside where it's warm while I waited. I told him it's okay, but he just started nudging for me to come inside. I cannot justify my actions, but it was like 5 degrees outside. I foolishly stepped inside the sketchy stranger's house. He shut the door behind me and stepped off into another room in a hurry. It wasn't even much warmer in the house. He clearly didn't even have a heating system. I found myself creeping closer and closer to the door as I got more uncomfortable. Then, the man came out of another room and gave me another smile. He opened up a door, apparently leading to the basement. He looked down and told me that he normally leaves his money down there. He asked me to come down there with him, but I refused. Even from where I was standing, I could see it was totally pitch dark down there. And then, what happened next is where it all fell apart. I heard the sound of a creaking step coming from the basement. Somebody else was down there. I decided it was time to go and turned around to open the door, but the man was already right on top of me. I punched him in the face and managed to get him in a hold, but I heard somebody stomping up the basement steps, and I had to get out of there. I pushed the man to the floor, ran outside, got in my car, and drove off without looking back. I told my manager everything, and he called the cops, but I don't know whatever became of that. My manager gave me a couple days off afterwards. Since then, I am much wiser to the fact that you should never enter a stranger's house. I was out doing a delivery one late night. It was probably the longest drive I have ever taken for a pizza delivery. From the pizza place I worked at, it was a 20-minute drive, which isn't too crazy out where I live. Plus, they ordered 4 large pies, so I figured it was a party and I would get a much bigger tip. Navigating the dirt roads at night was always annoying though. I pulled up to the given address. It was some old, sketchy-looking building, literally in the middle of a forest clearing. There were no cars parked anywhere, or any lights on. I put my car in park and called my boss. I asked him to reread the address at least 3 times to make sure I typed it in right, but that checked out. I could tell he was in a really bitchy mood, and he told me to at least knock on the door and check it out. He would normally get mad if we took back 1 pie, but I was afraid of what he would do if I brought back 4. I was insanely unnerved, but got out anyway and forced myself to the front door of the building. There was no doorbell, so I just knocked really hard. I heard nothing and didn't really expect to hear anything. I was extremely disappointed, not because nobody answered the door, but because I was realizing that it was all a waste of time and gas. I knocked one more time out of desperation, and then began to hear some kind of rustling noises from inside of the building. I knocked again and yelled that I was the pizza guy. There was silence now. I felt a bit more uncomfortable now than before. But before I could turn around, I noticed something at the window. There was someone looking through the window. I couldn't tell if it was a man or a woman. All I noticed were their eyes. Their eyes were open wider than I knew possible, staring intently at me. I was disturbed enough by this and dropped the pizzas and ran back to my car. The shitty thing wouldn't start until turning the key for the third time. I drove off the grass and back onto the dirt road, but I felt the car rocking about, shaking and bumping. Something wasn't right. I didn't make it far from the building before I started hearing a sharp scraping sound coming from outside. There was so much resistance that I couldn't even drive. The car came to a stop. I got out of the car to check what the hell was wrong. A chill ran up my spine as I began to feel like my heart was constantly skipping beats. My tires had been slashed and had completely fallen off the rim. Not just the front though. All 4 tires were slashed. I realized somebody did this when I was knocking on the door to that building. Instead of running, I got back in the car and locked the doors. I was so close to that building, I could practically see it from where I was, if it weren't for the trees blocking the view. I dialed 911 and explained everything to the operator. She told me the cops would be over as soon as possible and that I need to stay hidden. I asked her if it was advisable to stay in the car or run, and she told me it would be best to stay in the car with the door locked. She asked me to stay on the line with her until the cops arrived. My whole body was shaking. In all directions, there was nothing but dark, seemingly endless forest. I knew it would take forever for the cops to get there. I was not comfortable with sitting in that car so close to whoever did this. The next part, though, is what utterly destroyed me. It still shakes me to this day, and I hope nobody ever has to experience this kind of fear. As I was scanning all the windows, making sure nobody was outside, I looked in the rearview mirror, and there was the same person I saw at that window. Eyes open wider than ever. I could see now that it was a woman, and I could ever so slightly see a smile begin to spread across her face. I opened my door and full-on sprinted into the woods, not caring how much noise I made. I ran until I was out of breath, which didn't take long, and I hid behind a giant log on the ground. I tried to cover my loud breathing with my hand, as I waited and waited for what felt like hours, until I finally heard sirens in the distance. I gathered up all the stamina I had left to run all the way back in the direction of the dirt road. Eventually, the glowing red and blue lights came into view, and I had never felt better in my life. They were parked in front of my car, investigating with flashlights. I came out yelling at them like a lunatic to help me. I fell to the floor and started to gag, almost throwing up from running so much. They picked me up and began to question me, to which I explained everything to the best of my ability. One of the 2 cars drove over to the building, and the 2 officers began to search the building. They came back with nothing except for a couple of spiky objects. These objects were exactly the same as the ones used to slash my tires. The cops guessed that it was some kind of sick, demented couple, being that I saw the woman, but unfortunately they were never found, and that still kills me to this day. I obviously quit my job right after that and started working at a local grocery store. I know that I'll never forget seeing that woman at the back of my car. Working as a pizza delivery boy, you'll run into a lot of strange things. However, this story may be an excessive example of that. I was 21 years old, and it was a late Friday night shift at John's Pizza, meaning I would be closing with my boss. It was about 9 o'clock, an hour before closing. My next delivery was to the Saugerties, the next town over. The drive wasn't too long, maybe 15 minutes. I was a bit confused. The map was taking me to an isolated road that seemed to lead to nothing. I drove down it anyway, and shortly realized it led to a house by the water. It seemed every light in the house was on. Upon getting closer, I could hear music blasting from inside the house, even with my windows shut. Strangely, there were only 2 cars parked in front of the house, at least from what I could tell. It was a pretty wide open property. The front of the house faced the water, so the road, or driveway I suppose, curved around to the front by the water. As I walked up to the front door, I took more notice to the fact that the house was like brand new. I then rang the bell a few times since the music was so loud. I was caught completely off guard when 2 women opened the door, one blonde and one brunette, barely clothed. They had huge, flirty grins on their faces. The blonde woman grabbed the pizza while the brunette handed me a 20. I was about to ask where everyone was, but the brunette called me cute and asked me for my number. I thought I was about to get extremely lucky. After giving her my number, I was about to attempt at getting myself invited in, but the blonde immediately did that for me anyway. I entered the house and picked up on a rather unpleasant odor almost immediately, and there were literally no people anywhere, but I didn't care that much. The 2 women began to lead me upstairs, but unfortunately, this story did not go in the direction you may have hoped it would. I was literally on the 2nd step when a horrifying scream for help came from upstairs. I looked up there and then at the 2 women. They were looking at each other. The blonde one very clearly mouthed the word shit to the brunette. I didn't even really piece everything together at that moment, but I still just kind of instinctively knew to run. I must have looked back like 20 times before I was able to turn around the car and drive back down the long driveway. Looking back through the mirror, I shit you not, at each and every one of the windows in the house, there were heads peering out to me as I drove away. Of course, I called the police on my way back to work and told them to check the place out. They did, and some investigator guy called me back not even an hour later, telling me whoever was there abandoned the place, and that, in fact, it was a brand new, just-built vacant house for sale. It didn't surprise me much. There was no party going on there. That same night, I got a text saying, "We know where you work." That was enough to drive me to quit that job. Since I mentioned a possible victim upstairs to the police, they came to my house to ask a series of questions about the people. I have also had my number changed since then, as I want no possible links to this incident, and I want to live with peace of mind. So it was my last delivery of the night at Domino's Pizza to a house that was about 10 minutes away from the shop. There was a note on the door, which I read after ringing the bell. It said, "To Pizza Guy, please let yourself in and leave the pizza in the upstairs bedroom. Money will be on the bed." Immediately, red flags were springing up in my head all over. I actually called my boss and told him I didn't feel safe going in there, and he actually told me it would be best to just go inside. I tried to use my charm, as people say I have, to persuade my boss, but he was hell-bent on me not bringing back that pizza. The door was unlocked, so I let myself in. It was an average-sized house with some furniture that seemed a bit aged. There was a small nightlight shaped like a candle on the wall, providing just enough light to see a bit into the living room and my way upstairs. There were no lights in any of the rooms up there, just another candle nightlight. More red flags going off in my head. I come to the end of the small hallway upstairs. There are 2 doors, one open, one shut. The open door leads into a dark room, which I had to guess was the bedroom. As you may imagine, I was shaking in my shoes, afraid for any sudden sounds or movements anywhere. I pushed the door open completely and pressed my hand against the wall looking for the light switch. Found it. I flicked it on. Nothing. The lights didn't seem to work in this room. I very slowly walked over to the center of the room until something cushiony stopped my leg. It was a bed. I placed the pizza on the bed and began to search for the money in the dark. Just then, I heard the faintest, quietest thing come from outside of the room. I lifted my head and then resumed searching even faster. I was hoping to God it was just some kind of old person living here and they were too sick or nervous or whatever to meet someone. I found the money. It felt like 2 bills. I hoped they were 10s. I put them in my pocket and left the room. I stopped outside the room and saw the door to the other room was open. I could have sworn it was shut earlier. Your pizza's on the bed. Have a great day. I myself could hear the shake in my voice. There was no kind of response. I started to lean into the dark room to maybe get a better view. Too dark. I reached my hand into the room and searched for a light switch, but something grabbed my arm with a painfully tight grip and tried pulling me into the room. I screamed and jabbed at the arm with my keys, finally breaking free and getting back to my car. Nothing chased me out, nobody followed my car. I told my boss about it, and even talked him into giving me a raise for making me go through that hell. He didn't want me to call the cops for whatever reason. It wasn't really on the top of my mind, but in hindsight, I guess it would have made sense to get the police to check that place out. Anyway, not everything was terrible. I did get my pay raised from $7.50 to $8.50. I was never the delivery boy when I worked at Gino's Pizzeria, but when the new kid called out sick on like his second day, I had to take over for the night. It was a slow Tuesday night for deliveries, so it wasn't too bad. I had a manual 1998 Ford Mustang, a gas guzzler, so I in no way wanted to beat that car around town delivering pizzas. I made 3 normal deliveries within 3 hours. The place closes at 9 on weekdays, so I estimated 1 or maybe 2 more deliveries for the night. I picked up the phone to a customer who sounded like the definition of a meth head or something. She had a raspy voice, she stuttered, she forgot what she was saying, she had long pauses. Literally, there was like a 10-second gap between her saying, "Can I just get a..." and regular pizza. It was a huge production just getting the address from her. Sounded like she was asking someone in the background what the address was. Well, I was just so excited to meet these people. After she gave me the address, she hung up without me even telling her the price or how long. I told my chef, whose name was actually Mario, I know, a bit cliche, 1 regular pie. 10 minutes later, I was on my way. We live in the middle of absolute nowhere, so each delivery was a longer trip with a bigger tip. It took probably 10 minutes for me to get to the location. There was a long and dark gravel road through the woods and occasional trailer homes I had to drive through until I finally reached their home. It was a trailer home. The lights were off inside, but I could see the orange glow of a fire coming from out back, and I could hear a woman yelling at someone. When I shut the passenger side door after grabbing the pizza, I noticed the curtains to one of the windows move. Somebody was just watching me. I didn't know if I should knock on their door or go around back. It sounded like there was more than one person back there, so I decided to just go around back. I greeted them, and they spun around faster than a bullet. They were disgusting. They looked like typical trailer trash meth heads. The woman looked at, I'm guessing her husband, and asked what he's doing here. He then scolded her, saying she was the one who gave the address. They seemed to be standing close together to hide something behind them, and quite frankly, I didn't want to see what it was. I asked them if I should go around front, and then they whispered something to each other. The woman pointed at me and told me to wait there. She would go get the money. She went inside, and for the next 2 minutes, I awkwardly stood there trying not to stare at the scary-looking guy, who I knew was staring at me the whole time. Finally, the woman emerged from the house and went back next to the man. She handed the man some money and asked him to count it. She whispered something after that. I was getting very nervous now. I felt as if they were going to try and rob me or something. I wasn't stupid. The man started counting the money very slow. I mean, really slow, like 5, 10. I kept my eyes on the woman. She was looking into the woods behind me, and then she nodded her head, staring off behind me, and saw some huge guy approaching me with an axe in his hand. I flung the pizza box at him to try and slow him down, and somehow it worked. Or maybe he just didn't chase me. I got home safely. I didn't even go back to work that night. When Mario the chef texted me, I told him what happened, and all he said was, "Holy shit." That was it. I'm happy that was the only night I had to deliver. So if you live in the suburbs or city, sure, be a pizza boy. But if you live in the middle of nowhere, maybe try the supermarket instead. I was working the night shift at my local Waldbaum's back when it used to be open 24 hours a day. There would normally be less than 10 customers throughout my shift, but I wouldn't get to sit around and do nothing though. They wanted me to work on stock when I wasn't helping a customer. It was a bigger Waldbaum's, so oftentimes there may have been one other person in the building, whether it be someone working on stock or someone cleaning. This night, I was the only one working. I was working stock in the cereal aisle when I heard something fall over on the other side of the shelf in the next aisle over. I would always hear the door to the store sliding open. It was the loudest thing ever, so it kinda caught me off guard that there might have been a customer in the building. Of course, it wasn't weird. Yet. Not until I looked to my left and saw a man standing by the edge of the aisle, shooting me a blank stare. "Do you need something, sir?" I asked him. No. Could you just point me to the eggs?" he said. He wasn't normal looking. His face looked weird. Not exactly ugly, just unusual. Like his upper lip kind of came out too far. Almost like a Simpsons character. I was a bit uncomfortable that I had to deal with ringing him up. I hurried to finish the cereal aisle, and when I was done, I began to bring the U-boat cart to the back room. I was stopped halfway when the same guy cut me off through the middle section of the aisle. I want to note this guy was probably in his mid-30s, and at the time, I was only 22, though I looked much younger. The guy stopped me and started trying to make awkward small talk. He started by asking me my name, how old I was, if and where I went to school, and why I was doing the night shift. His questions started to get weirder when he asked me if I went to parties a lot and if I had a girlfriend. I told him I didn't, and then he asked me if I've ever had a boyfriend while putting his hand on my shoulder. I immediately started walking away with the cart, but he followed me. I told him I wasn't into whatever he was thinking about. I went faster and faster until I finally made it to the back storage room. He didn't follow me in. I wasn't supposed to stay back there for extended periods of time to avoid customer theft. I decided it would be best to just wait for him by the register so that he would ring his stuff up and leave. But I waited there for at least 20 minutes. He never came. I decided he was gone, and whether he stole the eggs and something else, there wasn't anything I could do now. I had to go to the bathroom, so I took a quick jog to the back of the store and into the employee bathroom. Moments after sitting on the toilet, my heart dropped into my stomach as I heard the bathroom door open. I choked the urge to say something like, "You can't be in here," but I didn't want to give away my position. I lifted my leg so that I wouldn't be visible from under the stall, and what happened next was simply horrifying. I sat there for the longest time, looking at the floor, not moving a muscle. When I finally looked up, I could see an eye peering through the crack of the stall door. I screamed. I knew I was trapped. I knew I had one shot at making a move. I grabbed the box cutter in my pocket and began sliding it through the crack of the door, forcing him to move his eye away. I took that chance to slam the stall door open in his face and hightail it out of the bathroom and all the way out of the store. I called my boss at least 5 times before he finally picked up and explained everything. He told me to call the cops, and so I did. Of course, the man wasn't in the store anymore by the time the cops showed up. I only did the night shift twice after that, and luckily didn't see the man again. I used to work the night shift at a gas station on the side of some highway in the country. From the hours of 12 a.m. to 6 a.m., the road was pretty dead. I would have maybe 1 or 2 people come in to pick cash in a whole night. It was a very boring and depressing job, especially doing the graveyard shift, but I had just finished college and I needed to pay off my loans. The only reason I kept this job was because my boss threw me an extra $5 an hour for doing the night shift. On this one cold December night, I was doing my usual thing, reading the newspaper, playing games on my phone, and whatnot, when I noticed the headlights of a car pulling off the highway into the parking lot. It was a red pickup truck. Somebody stepped out and shut the door. I went back to reading the paper as I saw that he was standing by the gas pump. I assumed he wasn't paying cash. I looked up a few moments later and saw that he was still standing in the same position, staring at the gas pump. I almost felt obligated to go out and help him. He was obviously confused. I felt a cold chill run up my spine as I saw the 6-foot-something tall man slowly turn his head to face me. I couldn't make out any features of his face, but I knew he was staring at me. I tried to pretend I didn't notice.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Alright.
Am I doing something wrong? Because I can't really find the waiting area.
No, I already
I
moved
can't find the waiting area.
I moved you to the chat already, because you were in a voice chat.
Oh, okay.
You doing okay?
Yeah, I'm okay. Oh, jeez. Hey! Daisy! Finally.
Why you just only have a
Yeah! A lot of things. It's not the kind of things you would think. Yeah, I'm doing fine. Just tired. Just tired. Exhausted of everything from last night.
Oh.
My back. Wait, is the live stream recording everything we say?
Yeah. It's a live stream.
Of course.
Oh, the garden. Yes! The albino.
What of course?
Albino get
Sorry,
Rex.
That's okay.
got a little voice acting today.
When plus albino Rex. Okay, that's cool. You write any type of if you direct DP/DW designs, which is in this case dinosaurs are.
Sorry about that.
So that's why we're
Uh,
changing the designs.
My family's loud.
It's okay.
No.
God, I love it when that happens.
I love these. I love these. Ooh, oh. I like the garden package. I can't wait to get the garden package. Ah! Don't touch Mikey. Not you. Stop!
Oh, it's Desi?
Yeah. That looks much better.
What should we watch?
Oh, I'm so sorry. My family's so loud.
Put on something.
Kong Skull Island?
I'm ready.
I'm ready. Spider-Man.
No.
No, no.
Well, I don't know really, but just put on something that doesn't, you know.
Okay, I put on something. I put on something. And you're not gonna like it.
Welcome to Segway. In the Discord, we can show you updates and developments and more. Enjoy your stay. Enjoy your time on
What kind of a monster is that?
What happened?
Oh! Yep.
Would you shut up over there?
It's definitely.
I'm in a live
Mechagodzilla.
stream right now.
Dude, it's actually Mechagodzilla.
Dude, I'm in a live
Somebody
stream.
actually took a picture of right in the very beginning of the trailer, and it shows the face of Mechagodzilla. Woo!
Yeah, I've seen that already. And dude, I'm in a live stream now, so shush.
I'm back.
Oh, hello.
Huh?
I knew it.
Hello.
Mechagodzilla.
So what's happening?
That must be the
Hmm?
antagonist.
What do you mean?
He wants to destroy Godzilla and Kong.
Like, what's going on inside the game? And what's with the floating monster ghost without
I'm
legs?
fighting the boss.
I can eat people.
Level 35.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god.
I'm farming it for XP and stuff.
I
Nice.
decided on the final name here. Short neck. Or thick. Yeah, but it looks chubby. Ah! Get away from there. Decimal, go find the other one. Decimal, go find the other kitty.
Decima!
Go find the
Where's the kitty?
go find the other kitty.
Go find kitty.
Go find the other kitty.
Oh, jeez. Bam.
Okay, I think I have an idea, but I don't think you're gonna like it. What if we could bring?
The Roku.
Mm-hmm.
I heard that coming. Nope.
I mean, they're using.
They're using the Roku cord for the Amazon.
Oh,
Because they lost the Amazon cord.
wait, they took it away from you, didn't they?
What?
The Amazon cord. I gave you the Amazon cord. Remember?
When?
When I just got the new phone.
That was the Amazon cord? I never knew.
Wait, they took it away from you?
No. Wait. I think I left it in my drawer. Because I didn't even know it was a cord. I threw it in my drawer.
So what are you doing?
Nothing, just checking out the internet.
What are you looking on the? What are you looking at on the internet?
Do you really need to be concerned?
It's something dirty, isn't it?
It's not like that.
Mm-hmm. I don't believe you.
Okay, nothing. Okay, no one else is listening to the live stream.
Hi.
What?
This person nearly getting a heart attack.
Why did you instantly just scream? Like, was this a screamer to you?
Shut up! That's not no
No,
animal monster.
nerd.
Shush. You're an
No, nerd.
Is this the one?
Yeah.
God damn.
Okay, I'll go get the card.
Okay,
Not a nerd.
Sushi.
Yeah.
Sorry, but like, were you like, were you like clicking on that box for like 5 minutes?
Well, that's the only card that I
Eh,
had.
not 5 minutes. A little bit less than that.
Oh, yes, but wow, that was a bad boss. That was a bad boss.
I'm farming it for stuff.
What are you farming it for?
For XP, and I'm also trying to get some legendary weapons.
Oh, not this one.
I
Nice.
don't remember the last time I played that game.
So Dad thought that was his.
I already have some of them. You get snowflake scythe off of it,
I remember having the
and then
really old swords.
you can get some other stuff.
Man, this is some bad boss. This is a bad boss. Like, is this every boss like this? Like, it's just a health sponge.
It can kill me, but there's a spot on
Yeah,
the
but
map
a
where it
boss,
can't attack you at
the
all.
most interesting thing a boss should do is like have a unique actual fight
And in the
instead of just being
kitchen
like a
with a
little
refrigerator.
sponge, a health sponge.
Oh, it can fight back. There's just a glitch right now.
No, the fighting back shouldn't be the most interesting thing. You're supposed to be unique, not a health sponge. Like you're being mashing for like 30 seconds now. Like this should be the case.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Not to sound rude, but this boss design is garbage.
Since we have less creatures,
It
Yeah,
gives
I
a
think
lot
my
of veil
boss
though.
because
some creatures AI only. Dilophosaurus.
Are there any were there any bosses that were actually unique? Had a unique fight?
They'll just kind of attack.
Wow, that's some shitty design right there.
It's the same for like everything.
I mean, like, come on, this is bad. All you do is just mash for like a minute or two and they die.
Mhm.
Is he 26?
No, he's 16.
He said add 9 to that?
I'm gonna find out. I mean, he's in that. He's
How long
see.
have you been playing for now? Right now?
The
How long
stream.
have you been playing this game?
You mean today or
Today.
Oh, let me look. I've been playing for about 2 hours.
2 hours. Have you been doing 2 hours of this? Like at first, I saw you like hitting some trash mobs. You have to like a castle down left,
Yeah.
and then I see you farming this. Man, this game looks pretty boring.
It kind of is. I was mostly just waiting to see if anyone would join the VC.
Well, why would you play a game if it's not fun? That doesn't make sense
No,
to
I
me.
just like farming.
You like farming? That's a
Yeah.
bit weird, but I won't question that. If you want farming, just go play World of Warcraft. You'll enjoy it. You'll love it.
Is it free?
Well, it's free, but like to play longer, you gotta like pay. It's like a money thing.
Ah, dang. I
So
don't like those type of games usually.
yeah, but
Because
it's
I
like,
don't really have money to throw into
it
that
has
stuff.
lots of farming at the end game. So much so you probably won't be able to get all the items at all. Not even close. Zan. Oh, what the hell is it fixed now?
Hmm.
Why is it suddenly fixed now?
Oh,
Like now he actually does damage to you.
Oh yeah, it's in this one spot over here. If you bring it over here, it's a glitched area where it won't do damage.
Then why did you just go further then?
I overshot the area. I have to lead it back. It's a Pacific area. I'm trying to get it in the right spot.
Man, there's some shady boss. Just health sponges.
He does not want to go in the right spot.
I mean, he's trying to survive, my guy.
Yeah. I'll try in the other spot and see if I can get over there.
You know, do you think the project you're working on will largely be combat based or actually survival based? Or will it be like a mix?
Mix, probably.
To be honest, I feel like mostly a combat game might work, but survival game might also be fine. Since a survival game,
It's gonna
you
be
have
both
lots of
because you
things.
have to grow in the game.
Yeah, but there's like overlap. Are you planning to add every single creature that engine is planning?
Most if not all of them.
That sounds like I don't think you should really do that, cause
It'll
how are you
probably.
gonna balance? I'm gonna ask. Okay, so you guys don't like explode over me. But how are you gonna balance like over 50 creatures and make it fun as well with the combat system? Because some probably can't do shit to any others. Like so,
That's true.
having to manage
I'd say
having
probably
to
for
manage
like
over like
creatures that wouldn't do too much damage, they might be bumped in other stuff to make the gameplay fun.
how but now look, I'm gonna give you a logical question. With every buff, you're gonna have to think about how will this affect every single creature, so that it's fine for them. Because if you buff one creature, it could mean that another creature is just completely doomed. Because like either faster, way stronger than it, or something like that. And that's the problem with animals. You're just putting random animals from different time periods into the game.
It's like introducing an invasive species to a different state. It's very bad effect
Like
on the
rats,
wildlife.
like a rat, a cat. There's even hippos in I think there's hippos in South America. Like those things will pretty much be able to kill anything in that area. So unless you like make like an area, the only way you could do this is that if you somehow like make a map for every single one, which is way unrealistic, and then think then make it there so there's enough creatures in that area that are in that time zone, and then put them all up.
If we don't add in like a lot of them, we'll probably be adding in like what the community like mostly wants to see in the game.
I think you should just work on mechanics. Like, I think you should try mechanics, but we don't have no scripter, which is a big problem. Also, has a paddle bought any Robux yet?
No clue.
Should probably ask him. So, how good is your job right now? Like, how good is your job sustainable for this game? For the amount, like, for the pay of your debts?
My job, I do not have a job because I'm not old enough where I live right now. I'll be old enough soon though to get a job.
You think you'll get a job to help sustain the game?
Yeah, probably.
Let's see. I wonder what I should do. Yeah, hope I can actually try to test something as a tester of the game. Also,
Gotta
I
keep up.
heard in like the chat that the visitor center isn't in Sorna. It's from Nublar.
Yeah, I'm not doing Sorna right now. I'm doing New Boy.
Isn't Sorna a bigger though? So we can actually test more. And I think we have more of Sorna. I think we should turn it into Sorna because Nublar we don't know much. Like we don't know much apart from the three movies, and all we really saw was
Well, but we'd have to
actually
do a
no.
new map
I
for
think
that
only
then.
one movie was on Nublar, in the original trilogy. Two were on Sorna, and I think the sixth one is gonna be on Sorna as well. So we're gonna have three movies on Sorna itself, and we actually saw multiple biomes.
Mhm.
No, but I don't think we've seen much. We only saw like the park,
Yeah.
We only saw the park and the cages. So I think it should just be Sorna instead of Nublar.
Spidey would have to make another map for that, so I could do that.
Couldn't you just rename it and just get it to rename it to Sorna?
I wouldn't want to
Since you guys
rework the
don't.
entire thing because I'd have to get rid of everything that I did so far.
No, you don't. You don't need to. Actually, you don't need to. Wanna know why? You don't have a complete map yet. You don't have it's like so most of it is just like a base plate. Okay. Some of it is Forza, but other than that, that's pretty much it.
Mhm.
So I think we could just rename it to Sorna. Maybe we could. Why did I get an idea now? I got an idea. Wanna hear it?
Sure.
What if we could maybe mix the two together so we could still include the visitor center? So it won't just be a complete waste.
Mhm. Alright.
So we can include
Maybe.
the broken down visitor center, maybe some of the broken down fences, the park, maybe some of the cages too, since that actually serves as like a little nest place. Like you saw
Mhm.
in Camp Cretaceous, I saw like Rexy, he like building a nest there. So I think that would be very useful for large carnivores.
Mhm.
So yeah, maybe we could mix the two together. But
Yeah,
maybe mostly Sorna, since we don't really have much of a map with Nublar. We don't know much details.
Yeah.
Okay. I think when you get a job and all, this project could really skyrocket
Mhm.
if we do the right decisions, of course. What the?
So,
Look in general. Why is the albino Wilhelm is an oversized aloe? You see? This is the chat VC since they don't really care about the game. Wait, the person next to me has spino. Give me your spino, boy. Give me your spino, noob.